I think number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah.
So my name is Catherine Mudachi, and I'm the Vice President Marketing at Copia.
Okay, number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 6.
Number 6. Okay.
Mwanaume akiwa na hiyo cheo anaweza juu wanakuanga serious sana na job.
Nimechagua number 1.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Number 3.
My name is Liz Nduta, and I'm the Director of Innovations and Projects at Copia.
Number 3.
Niende na 1. Anaka more of a researcher.
Number 3.
Number 5.
My name is Anne. I'm at the head of human resource at Copia.
Number 5.
Naona number 3.
I think my initial reaction is obviously 5 out of 7 people think that the role has to be male, that only a few of them thought it would be a woman. And whilst they don't speak to the bias, I think society always expects leadership to be men. And if I think there's only one person who had something positive to say about women, the fact that we're organized, can be CEO, but the rest of them, I think the bias is clear. You've got to be male to be a leader. Clearly, a lot of people judge a book by its cover, I think is what that is saying. Personally, I've been in roles where I've actually been the only woman on the table, let alone not just the only black woman sitting at the table.
It's a stereotype, it exists, but I think in this day, we need to move away from that completely, because being in a female leadership role is not defined by the way you dress or the way you look or by your masculinity or feminism. It's really about, experience and, the desire to grow, into those ranks or those senior positions.
I think that bias cuts across any part of the world. There's a bias towards how you look. So if you're a beautiful woman, you cannot be a leader. If you're beautiful, you cannot be smart. I mean, you've got to, you can't, if you wear dresses, if you go into meetings, then they don't take you seriously. If you're in meetings, in a board meeting and people want tea, the reaction will be, you're going to serve us tea because you're a woman. Personally, as a leader in the Copia organization, I've never felt that I've been judged or looked at as a woman. It's always been about what I'm talking about. It's always been about the matter at hand. It's always been about what's the value that I'm bringing to that conversation. I mean, as it is today, we have about 50% of our employees being female, and out of that 50%, a good number, I'd say about 80% of them are between the ages of 25 to 35, which is a relatively young demographic. So for us, it's about looking for skill and competence rather than looking for what is considered as a box in which people need to fit for certain roles or for certain levels of management. If we also look at the leadership team, 43% of the leaders, and when I say leaders, it's a person who has a direct report, are actually women. And all this has happened because we have a policy of equal opportunity at Copia. Copia has, because the bias I spoke to before that doesn't exist in senior management. So for example, I think 43% of senior leadership, and not just senior completely top level, it's also the number of women within Copia who have people who report to them are actually women, and you don't feel that you've got to downplay the fact that you're a woman to be able to sit at the table. So the issues that I spoke to before, needing to dress a certain way or downplaying the fact that you're female, is not something that I've experienced within Copia. I think one thing is the environment that we have that really supports, females, especially females with family and children commitment. So for instance, we have a nursing room, which means that even when you come back from maternity leave, you're able to juggle both balls without compromising your career development. So I think that's a very good way to support our female employees. I think the other thing is, really being able to mentor female employees. So we're about to relaunch a mentorship program where senior women in leadership can mentor junior women in terms of developing their career. So all in all, I think the work environment that we've created here at Copia, or we have here at Copia, really supports the growth of women into their career development. men that we work with are very progressive. They don't look at you as a woman first before they listen to you. They look at you as this is the role that you're in, and therefore they listen to what you have to say. So Copia as a place to work and enabling women and looking at us as equals, I mean, most definitely, it's a great place to work, and it upholds the fact that there's, you know, gender equality in leadership.
Copia's brand promise to our customers is Maisha Rahisi, making living easier every day. And when you actually look at how we do that for our customers, there's an important group of stakeholders and partners that we call agents, who are actually the delivery point, and also for a significant number of our customers, the ordering point. And when you look at the number of agents that we have, 77% of those agents are women. And so these are women who exist in the local communities, and as a result, as Copia, we're actually giving them business opportunities to be entrepreneurs, to actually make a difference in their lives and to increase the income that they earn by being a part of the Copia broader family. So that I'm really proud of, and it's something that as Copia, we will continue to challenge ourselves in terms of making sure that, you know, we increase the number of women who are agents today, because we know a lot of these women in the bottom of the pyramid and in rural areas are the breadwinners of their family. We've actually added about 5 million shillings in revenue to these women just through the different commissions that they earn through Copia. So I'm really, really proud of that.
The thing that needs to be challenged is that box that we are fitting women into. We need to allow women to, you know, express themselves and to be who they are, so that they can achieve whatever it is that they'd like to achieve.
I think we've got to choose to challenge the gender bias that is there and the inequality that exists. I think if we look at the data that Catalyst had in 2019 about the percentage of women in senior management, it was, if I'm not wrong, 29%. And that figure did not change in 2020. It remains at 29%. So this year's theme of I choose to challenge, I think, is a great reminder that we've still got to work through the barriers that exist that stop women from, you know, ascending into senior management.
So I think, as Catherine, one of the things that I feel we need to choose to challenge is really, and I think it came out really well in terms of looking at me as Catherine, and do I need to look a certain way or act a certain way to actually be taken seriously. There are women out there who have different passions, but unfortunately, because of this stereotypical, can I call it career path or development that you're told you're a woman, how can you be doing that? And I really want to commend some of the women out there who have not listened to those external and internal voices, women who we know today are captains of ships, women who are pilots, women who have just taken up roles which have traditionally been led by men, because they've challenged what I call the status quo and instead let their passion dictate, you know, what career path they're going to take.
We shouldn't fit women into a gender box or an age box or a physical appearance box. We need to challenge that anybody can do it.
I think the reason why I choose to challenge gender bias, especially role, is because society expects women only to do certain jobs or only to play certain roles in society. And I think the generation that's coming behind us has proved that, you know, your ability, the role that you choose to play in society as a woman should be guided by your ability, not by something that's already predefined or predetermined.
After seeing those videos today, I've just realized that we're not speaking a lot about the possibilities that women can achieve. And so I think going forward, that's something that I want to strive to do in terms of encouraging women to, you know, reach those heights, or, you know, break the proverbial glass ceiling without having to think about, oh, I'm of a certain age, or oh, I look a certain way.
Even raising not just my children who are girls, but even those, my son, right? To take away those expectations and those definitions of this is how a woman or a girl these are the things she should do. These are the things which a boy should do. And the reason I am not excluding boys from this conversation is we can't exist without them. Even if this is a whole International Women's Day, we still need men, right? We still coexist. And really, you know, if we're to exclude the boy child from this conversation, we're not actually going to make a difference, even with women and how women approach what I'm saying, these differences in taking a career path that is not traditionally known to be a woman's, because it's the mother who has to change that perception with a son. So it's up to us as women also, even as we celebrate women and reflect on women, to also ask ourselves, how are we raising that boy child in terms of understanding that women can do anything that they wish to do.
It starts from an individual perspective before it even comes to boss. The fact that in your circle, you've got to call out gender bias, which is something that I do, whether you're a sister or whether you're someone's wife or whether you're a mother and you are bringing up children who are male and female. I think you've got to be self-aware about gender bias and make sure that you're, choosing to challenge or pushing the barriers or reminding people that gender bias isn't something that exists. And if you do that from an individual level, it then means that when you step into your work environment, then you're looking at your team as equals. You're not saying that this person can do this job because they're male or this person can do this job because they're female, and you're purely looking at them from a performance perspective and rewarding the work that they do purely from performance, not from gender, which is something that I personally strive to do.
So for me, it's just a challenge that we actually not just celebrate it on one day, but that we actually live it for every day of this year, that we're actually asking ourselves, are we still choosing to challenge ourselves, and are we actually doing something about it? In terms of my choice, what I'm choosing to challenge this year is my active involvement and in mentoring and coaching other women who are in Copia and outside of Copia as well.
I choose to challenge the narrative that women cannot progress and run the world, whether it's in their careers, whether it's in entrepreneurship, whether it is in sports or in whatever it is that they want to do.
I, Lizzie, choose to challenge the gender bias that exists, that certain roles when played by women are determined by age or how old you are and not by your ability.